The end of World War II created a refugee crisis unprecedented in human history. Millions of people across the globe found themselves displaced due to deportation, expulsion, and mass evacuation. Many of these displaced people were children, but the United Nations created an agency to help them, and it would become one of the most successful social welfare organizations in history. Its name is UNICEF. The United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund was created on December 11, 1946, to provide immediate relief to all children and mothers affected by World War II, without discrimination. Throughout its existence, the agency has relied entirely on voluntary donations from governments and private citizens. And in 1947, UNICEF received its first private contribution. In 1950, the United Nations extended the organization's mandate to address the long-term needs of children and women, particularly in developing countries outside of Europe. And in 1953, UNICEF became a permanent agency of the United Nations. The words international and emergency were removed from the organization's official name, but the acronym UNICEF remained. So UNICEF now stands for United Nations Children's Fund. In 1959, the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of the Child defined rights to education, healthcare, shelter, nutrition, and protection for all young people. UNICEF has worked diligently to implement policies ensuring these rights over the course of the past 6 decades. And because of its services to children around the world, UNICEF was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1965. The agency continues to provide humanitarian aid and developmental assistance to children throughout the world to this day, with a presence in 192 countries and territories. All of UNICEF's work is overseen by a 36-member executive board. Permanent members of the UN Security Council don't serve on this board, which oversees 7 regional offices across the globe. In addition, there are national committees in 36 developed countries. Established in 1947, the United States Fund for UNICEF is the oldest of these national committees. UNICEF is entirely dependent on voluntary contributions. Its total income in 2020 was $7.2 billion, the vast majority coming from the private sector. Throughout its history, UNICEF has engaged in many notable fundraising activities to support its mission. In 1949, the organization issued its first greeting card, and the selling of greeting cards has become one of UNICEF's fundamental fundraising activities. Over the past 70 years, billions of cards have been sold.
Trick or treat! Trick or treat for UNICEF! Trick or treat for UNICEF! Trick or treat for UNICEF!
In 1950, a group of children in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, donated $17 to UNICEF that they had collected while trick-or-treating on Halloween. And in response, UNICEF began a program to hand out small orange donation boxes to children at schools in North America for Halloween every year. As of 2012, these boxes had collected over $167 million. Australian airline Qantas hosts a program to collect their passenger spare change for UNICEF. Since 1991, the Change for Good program has raised over $36 million and collected 43,000 pounds of coins. Many artists and performers have donated their talents to help UNICEF. Throughout its history, the organization has used celebrities to assist in fundraising activities and raise awareness of issues facing children throughout the world. Ukrainian-American comedian Danny Kaye was named UNICEF's first Goodwill Ambassador in 1954, and other notable Goodwill Ambassadors include Audrey Hepburn and Sir Roger Moore. The tradition continues today, with current Goodwill Ambassadors Katy Perry and Serena Williams. On January 9, 1979, a benefit concert was held at the United Nations General Assembly in New York to raise money for UNICEF and mark the beginning of the International Year of the Child. The UN decided to give that name to the year to increase awareness of the conditions facing the world's children and to spur action on children's rights. The concert featured performances by ABBA, the Bee Gees, and Earth, Wind & Fire, and it was broadcast on television around the world and later released as a record album. Kids United is a French musical group that was created specifically to support UNICEF campaigns. The group consists of 6 children born between 2000 and 2009, and their first album, A Better World, was released on Universal Children's Day in 2015. The album went gold in France, and the group remains active and successful in French-speaking countries. All of these fundraising activities allow UNICEF to do the important work of developing community-level services to promote the well-being and health of children. This work is mostly done in the field. In 2018 alone, UNICEF responded to humanitarian crises in 90 countries. The agency assisted in the birth of 27 million children, administered vaccines to 65 million, treated 4 million children for malnutrition, and provided education for 12 million more. UNICEF supplies technical training in maternal and child welfare and trains communities about proper nutrition, including vegetable gardening, fish pond management, and poultry and livestock breeding. UNICEF also creates educational programs to foster children's intellectual development and supports family planning programs within the context of maternal and child health. Founded in the terrible aftermath of World War II, UNICEF has worked for 75 years to foster the health, education, and welfare of children throughout the world. By working towards their goal to respond, recover, and reimagine a better world for every child, they have become one of the most recognized and successful charitable organizations in world history.